So obviously, before I start the video, there are spoilers for season 3, episodes 1 through 3 in this video. So, go watch those if you don't want to get spoiled. So Mark this season so far has been pretty stupid. Let me elaborate. So in my last video, I talked about Cecil versus Mark and how their ideologies were clashing. Why is it getting blurry? What is happening? To summarize that video, since it is like 10 minutes, I encourage you to go watch it, but you don't have to. Cecil made some good points. Mark made a few good points, but overall I did agree with Cecil more. But why do I think Mark is stupid this season? Mind you, I don't mean this in a bad way. This is actually a very natural progression for his character. As some of you stated in the comments of my previous video, Mark is only 19. He is a little baby, essentially. Not really, but And he's been thrust into this world of betrayal, people getting murdered right in front of him murdering people himself. For God's sakes, Omni-Man held him by the neck through a train of people just having their bodies splattered against him like paint. Mark is so incredibly traumatized from these events, and it's understandable that his view of heroism, his view of life in general, could either go from one direction or the other into the extreme. He probably just flat out hasn't had enough time to think about these things rationally, and his nerves are probably shot. I do want to talk about a few events like, for example, episode 2 and episode 3. Episode 2 where, again, he's talking to Cecil about all these problems and point out that he's a hypocrite. Obviously, yada, 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 I already went over this, but Cecil not even hired, he has Darkwing and D.A. Sinclair working for him. Previous villains who murdered people that Invincible arrested. In my last video, I did agree with Darkwing working for him. The dude just kind of had a mental break and was killing criminals. He was basically like Batman if Batman didn't have his no-kill rule anymore, which is like, who cares? And D.A. Sinclair did turn people into cyborg zombie monsters. That one I disagreed with because obviously he's not actually really being punished for his crimes. He's allowed to do what he was already doing. We don't know what his living conditions are like though, so it's up in the air whether or not he's technically in a prison, although he is basically a slave to the government. And Cecil did kind of prove that these things were needed because Mark and all of the other superheroes on the planet would have probably died if it wasn't for Cecil doing these things behind Mark's back. And to top that all off, Omni-Man killed more people, and Mark pretty much just forgave him as soon as he saw him. Gave him a hug because it was his dad. So Mark's a bit of a hypocrite there. I think they both could have just talked it out a little bit better. Mark should have stopped imposing his might. He is an incredibly powerful person. Him just running up to the Pentagon and getting in Cecil's face, obviously is going to make Cecil fear for his life and pull out the drastic measures. But I already kind of talked about this. I did miss some points, which is why I'm what the hell? I already missed some points, which is why I'm mentioning them here in my last video. But in episode 3, we actually find out that Oliver, Mark's little brother, actually has the exact opposite view of life compared to Mark. Oliver's basically a little Omni-Man, like, these people are inferior to me. Why does it matter if they live or die? Now, he does have the heart of a hero as far as we can tell. He does want to end the bad guys so the good people can live and don't have to worry about the bad guys dying. Now, so far, he hasn't really had to deal with any gray area situations. So Oliver's viewpoint actually makes sense here. Mark and Debbie try to actually make it seem like it's not okay to kill people because they have families and stuff. But as Oliver points out, the Maulers didn't really have anyone. It was just them. And in my opinion, yes, you absolutely should have turned the Mauler twins into paste. They were going to nuke the planet with an EMP that would have shut down everything and put it under their control to bring it back. They had already taken down the Guardians of the Globe with some nerve cannon thing. Mark should have never played games with them. He let them hit him with that gun, which disabled him. He could have easily just blitzed them and turned them into mush. Hell, he could have honestly restrained them without needing to kill them. But Mark is so hell-bent on this life is super precious, like he's Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender, that he is holding back so much, and he's actually letting these villains basically get away. Like the people who stole the Again, I can't speak English. Like the people in the first episode who stole the Declaration of Independence. Was that the first or second? I think it was the first. I don't think they should have been killed, but Mark could have not held back a little bit more and, you know, maybe knocked them out or immediately put them in the handcuffs or something. You know, they dilly-dallied with that, and then as a result, Multi-Paul was able to get there in time to beat the crap out of Rex, which he didn't know was going to happen. But then Declaration of Independence gets stolen, criminals get away. Mark, you shouldn't have held back, or at the very least gone a little bit harder. But he can't do that because he's either one way or the other, very impulsive, which is a big problem that Cecil points out. Now, Oliver obviously needs to be taught the value of life. He can't go around killing anyone. He can't just destroy every single person he sees that he might view as a bad person, because that is a very fine line to walk. But at the same time, Mark needs to get his head out of his ass despite all the trauma and actually maybe look at this as a more gray area. Because yes, obviously you shouldn't kill people, but if the criminals are literally threatening millions of lives or threatening your life, it is perfectly okay to hit them as hard as you can until the threat's neutralized. That is just basic self-defense. I have to reiterate here, the Mahler twins took over a military base, a nuclear military base that was already taken over once. They built an EMP on a nuke and fired it. They took out every single guardian of the globe and was just gonna let them die. Mark should have got there, saw the situation, and immediately just took both of their heads off before they could even blink. That was how dire that situation was. But Mark wanted to handle this like some sort of comic book superhero who just gets the villains, puts them in handcuffs, and that's that. You can't do that with people like that. They will fight you tooth and nail until someone's dead. Hell, Oliver killing the Mahler twins wasn't even really not justified. Obviously, the way he did it, he looks like a psychopath, right? But right before the Mahlers went to go fight them, they said, oh man, we haven't killed any children before. There's a first time for everything though. They are threatening this little boy's life, not knowing that that little boy could one-shot them, but they still did it. And obviously they were still strong enough to at least incapacitate Mark. So Oliver was intelligent to not let them even have the chance to do that. Unfortunately, now everyone thinks Oliver is a little mini Omni-Man because he kind of didn't show a look of restraint on his face doing any of that and looked like a goddamn serial killer. But in my opinion, he was completely in the right. He just kind of did it a little coldly. I guess what I'm trying to say, since I did go a bit on a bit of a tangent there, Mark, understandably, again, this makes sense plot-wise, is a bit of a hypocrite, isn't thinking straight, very impulsive, making very stupid decisions. I mean, him repeating what the future Eve said to normal Eve and like telling her when I keep forgetting his gay friend. He told him specifically not to do that because it would be weird. That's something you tell after, you know, you've been dating for like a few months, like, hey, you know, it's crazy, like your future self told me this. That's not why I asked you out, but that definitely like helped me, you know, realize a lot of stuff in my head or whatever, and realize how short life is or some dumb shit like that, you know? This season has just been Mark making mistake after mistake after mistake, and just overall, I still root for him, but he's definitely pretty stupid. Again, understandably. Hopefully during this season he finds out that the world ain't so black and white. Although again, with the Mahler twins, that really isn't black and white. Like, kill them. They're gonna nuke the planet. Kill them. My name's Dakosity. Let me know if you want me to cover any other topics. I don't script these videos because I love just sitting down yapping for 20 minutes. Check out my other videos. I've been making it, you know, so I do anime. I might do games. I love cartoons. I might even make like a big Aqua Teen Hunger Force video. I don't know. We're going all over the place with this. All right. We're making the video essay slop, even though I haven't scripted these things. It's just me yapping on my chair for 20 minutes and then editing it down. All right. Love you guys. See ya.